Take it away.
So everyone sees my presentation. I see everyone is quite excited about my talk. I also really excited. If I can talk about Disney, then I'm always excited. So hello there, I'm Craig. I work at Mate, as you already heard when Timothy announced me. And I have a little secret, actually. I really love Disney. And for some people, it's not so secret anymore. And after today, it will be open for everyone and for public. So I also want to say, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And then later on the QA, we will pick them up and I can hopefully answer them. I know no one could hear the audio, but I think everyone could actually hear it already inside their heads. Because yeah, it's so famous. Everyone grew up with it. Almost everyone grew up with it. And when I tell people that I'm really into Disney, I sometimes get really weird looks. They're skeptical. They think, how old are you? You're in your late 20s, 30s, and you're still thinking about princesses and fairy tales. Also, sometimes it's also a great pickup line if I tell someone that I love Disney, because it gets the conversation going. But yeah, don't get me twisted. It's not about the movies for me, and it's also not about the princesses. Yeah, honestly, I actually only have seen a handful of these Disney classics. In that time, you still had the Disney Vaults. Nowadays, you can just stream them on their own platform. But in the days back then, you could only get 2 or 3 videos on a cassette and could watch them. And I watched them over and over and over. But actually, that were also the only movies that I actually always watched. And it's just more for me than just the classical kids movies. As a company, Disney is also doing really crazy things, especially the last couple of years. After they dropped almost $1 billion to get the Star Wars franchise, they actually bought 20th Century Fox a few years ago. And why they did it? Because they were so ballsy to also step into the streaming game when there was already HBO Max, there was already Netflix. And that's what I love about Disney, is actually that they're all innovators. And it all already started at heart when you only had Walt Disney and his brother Roy Disney. They had some really insanely progressive ideas, and especially from an entrepreneurial standpoint, yeah, it was really crazy. And sometimes it was also really sadly, because not all of them came to fruition. And for example, Walt Disney actually wanted to had the idea to build a city. And that's a city here that you can see. It was called the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Sadly, Walt, he died before they actually could start on it. Luckily, he already bought the land with a really big schedule. They bought a lot of land in Florida. It's also called the Florida Project. Maybe you already heard of it. But it was so crazy. It was so innovative. As you can see, the whole city was underground and it was encapsulated. So there would be no climate. There would be climate control inside of the city. Here you can see they had actually 3 ways of transportation. You could go by car, but everything was actually car free. You can only go there with car, park your car, and then go walk by foot. Or you could take a people mover. You could take a monorail throughout the whole city. It was really crazy, and only modern cities today can only dream about it. But beyond that, from a user experience perspective, the Disney theme parks are actually something that to behold as well. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk to you about today, how it connects everything. And I'm going to take you into depth with that and try to inspire everyone. As you can see, these are a little bit of my interests. I have a lot more interests, but it's Disney and the theme parks and UX is actually really on the sweet spot of my interests. As you can see, it has technology, innovation, it has experience design, product design, and storytelling. For me, UX is not only an app or an application or a website. It's really about everything, the whole experience around it. And that's something that really comes together also in my daily job and also at Disney. To bring all those different disciplines together, Walt Disney actually created a company called the Walt Disney Imagineering Company. And people who work there, they have such different backgrounds. There are almost 300 different job titles, and it varies from service designer to UX designer to show director to engineers to architects. And they actually take projects from a rough idea to the final product. And what the final product is actually what you can see in the theme parks. And it's so diverse what you see there. And I also going to show you some examples later on, but it's really, it's crazy. This is their baseline. So making the possible possible. I'm already getting excited again by just reading it. And it's actually the place where innovation and storytelling combines and bring the Disney stories, characters and worlds to life. And now I'm actually going to take you through the whole customer journey of someone who is going to travel to Disney World. And it's actually going to tell you how good they thought about UX and user experience and service design and combine it all together in one big experience. And actually, Walt Disney already thought about customer journeys in 1957, even before the whole user experience hype and service design hype. He already was thinking about how they could connect the TV, music, the films, the merchandising, connect everything to Disneyland, to their own publications. So it's actually, he was there already again on the brink of innovation and thinking more than people did at those times. But all right, here we go. Imagine you're just home, you're booking a ticket, you want to go to Disney World, you're sitting home at your laptop, you take a look at the website of Disney and you book a vacation. After 2 weeks, you receive a postcard in your mail, and that's what you see. It's actually already a personalized card that you get at home to welcome you on your journey. And here you see an example of a family with 2 kids. If you have a family with 1 kid or you're just going by yourself, you get a personalized postcard with a hero of your own, also in Walt Disney World style. And that's already so inviting. You haven't even begun on your trip, but you're getting already the excitement of going there. And then after that, it's not it. Because, I want to put this in between, because for me, service design and user experience is actually not always about the experience itself, but someone once told me that a good service design or a good experience actually has a backstage and a front stage. Because a lot of people tend to think that it's only customer centric and you only have to put the customer in the middle. But I think that it's also important that you always take the company also with it. And that's actually what I want to explain here with the backstage. A good experience is also with a backstage. So in terms of the company. And then you have the front stage, where you have the people, where you have the customer, and you have the people who are actually enjoying your product. So for me, a good service design thinks about the backstage, the company, and the front stage, the user. So that's something to take in mind, because I'm going to refer to it a couple of times throughout my presentation. But after you got the postcard, you also get another thing. You actually get access to the My Disney experience. And that's actually a really good example of the front stage and the backstage. If you book a hotel on the property, which means you're actually staying in an official Disney hotel on premise, you actually receive access to the platform 60 days up front of your arrival at the parks. If you buy a ticket for the Walt Disney World parks and you don't sleep on an official hotel on premise, you actually only get access in 30 days, which actually is very clever of Disney, because they give the user perks when they book a vacation for them, which is actually positive for them, but it also creates a better experience for the users who actually buy with them. So it's actually the front stage and the back stage, which is actually working perfectly together, because it gives Disney the opportunity to make more money, and it gives actually the user the opportunity to have some extra perks in their vacation. I say extra perks. Okay, you get access to the platform, but what does the platform actually do? In short, it just facilitates the planning of your whole trip. It takes away the stress of being there at that day, and that you have to think, oh, damn, I really want to ride the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but it has a queue of more than 2 hours. I'm not going to be able to ride the ride. So it's actually taking stress away. So up front of your booking, 60 days up front, you can actually start to organize your trip. You can choose which attractions you want to go on what time you want to go on, with how many people you want to get onto it. And it's actually, yeah, it already gives you the opportunity to just plan it and go there without any stress. In the whole platform, you can also reserve dining, you can order food, you can link your dining tickets that you already bought in another company. It's amazing. Again, what is really good, because I always say front stage, backstage, is that in the backstage, Disney knows exactly on what time you're going to enter the park, on what time you're going to be on that attraction. And so they can actually guide the guest flows. So they know when people are going to one certain point in the park. So they can actually solve the bottlenecks of too many people on one place. They can solve the problem that the restaurants are going to get overcrowded, because they can give you or can direct you in one side of the park when they see there are a lot of people in the other side of the park dining, and so on. So it's, again, the backstage. Disney is actually enjoying it, but also in the front stage, the user is actually also getting a better experience, because they don't have to wait. They can just go on a vacation and have no stress about riding the rides. As you can see here, they also already worked on the next version of the Disney My Experience app. Because today you still have to select everything yourself. You have to plan your whole trip. And also, I have to be honest, how cool I think the application and the platform is. It also takes quite some work to organize all your trip. And maybe your stress is not on your vacation, but the stress is more 60 days up front, when you have to be on your laptop and wait until you can log in and book your tickets. Because also when you have to try to get the attractions, the best attractions are sometimes already quite fast, they're gone from the platform. So it also gives some stress. But here they are already working again on the next version, where they actually, you have to just, in a chatbot or a conversational way, you have to give in your preferences, say what you like, if you like animals, if you like fairies, if you like princesses. And then they actually give you a whole planning already, where they show you where you can go, to which boutique you can go, on which restaurant you should go, and you can easily book it with just saying go, and then it's actually explaining yourself what you have to do, which is, again, really amazing. So that's upfront. So you have the app, the My Disney Experience, you get the postcard, you receive your tickets, and then you get on the plane and you go to Florida, and then you step off the plane. And the only thing you have to do is just follow the arrows on the floor. You don't have to think about anything. Your luggage is okay. Just follow the arrows on the floor. And then you have the Disney Magical Express that just picks you up and brings you to your hotel and the parks. That's the only thing you have to think about. So again, the whole customer journey is thought about it. And you're actually never going to break out of the Disney bubble, which makes it, again, so magical. Then you arrive at your hotel, and you get actually a really cute pin back button. The pin back button, if you put it on your clothes, you can sometimes get extra perks in the parks. For example, it's your birthday and you're wearing it, and you want to ride on Space Mountain, and they see you have a button. Sometimes the cast members can actually give you an upgrade, and they can put you on the first train on the attraction. They're gonna sing a song for you if you're in a shop. If you're married, they can give you sometimes an extra drink, a free dessert to celebrate it together, which again is in the experience, it makes it great. Also, when you arrive in your room, there is a personalized card that welcomes you to have a magical celebration, and you can go on your day. It just feels like, yeah, it's from a service design perspective, it's all those little points and things that makes the user experience, again, a great thing and make the difference down the road if you would go to another theme park that you know. So Also, when you arrive at a hotel, you get a magical wristband. It sounds really gimmicky, but when you put it at, it's also really a tool that ties the whole experience together. It offers really great level of engagement and service, but I will come back to that later on. But I think it's also really clever invention to also have the backstage and the front stage coming back together again. Another thing that you have is an app. So you have the My Disney Experience app. You can log into it on your phone. And actually, when you arrive on property or you arrive in the resort, the app is actually going to change. Why is it going to change? It's going to give you directions on how to go from point A to point B. It shows you your planning. It shows you how to reserve dining. You can order food by that. So you only get the information that's really relevant for you when you're on property. And when you're going home, you get to see other information that is needed. So it's really, again, really exciting. And also throughout the day, you can order extra fast passes there. You can get on attractions really easily. It makes the experience, again, much better. And it helps also Disney to direct their guests in the right formation. But okay, I arrived at my hotel. We went to the room. We had a sleepover. And then the next day, we were actually going to the park. And then you arrive outside, and there you have him. That's Pete, the bus driver, and he's going to take you from the resort and drive you safely to one of the 6 parks that's actually on the property over there. The whole property actually spans 2 times Manhattan, so it's really big. But yeah, he's just doing casual chats, and he's asking you if everything went okay, if everything is fine, if you enjoyed your room. But yeah, you tell him, yeah, I arrived yesterday and my shower it's broke. I could not shower. And then the evening, Pete drops you off by your hotel. You go to your room, and what you see, you get a whole new shower. And again, that's a perfect example of Disney and how they actually try to elevate the experience to the next level here. Is everyone is responsible at Disney parks, and they have to give their guests the best experience. To give another example on how they do it and how to make sure that the user experience is actually, again, much higher, is to every employee, if you're regarded as a janitor or a manager, you're actually obliged to pick up the pieces of trash that you see once you see it. And that's also, again, to preserve the magical atmosphere in the park. And that's also really great in the whole process. But you remember the magic band I told you. So we were on the bus with Pete. We stepped off the bus and we came on let's say, Magical Kingdom, which is the most famous park. It's the Castle Park. Probably everyone knows it. And you have the magic band. We haven't used it yet. Only to open your room. You can actually open your rooms with it. But that device also gives you access to the parks. So you only have to tap it against that pole, and then a little animation of Mickey Mouse actually flashes and tells you can go inside or not inside. You don't have problems with the QR codes or ticket scanners that mostly don't work. You don't have to put out your phone and show them to a cast member. No, you can just show your magic band, walk inside without stress, without hassle, and then think, yeah, again, that's a perfect example of how technology and how product design and user experience can elevate a whole experience into a better thing. Now, I already had it about technology, about UX and product design. Now it's time for some storytelling, what's also really amazing there. And what you see here is actually a picture of the Moroccan pavilion right there. And they actually invited true Moroccans to actually build the whole pavilion and to design it so it actually would feel as real as it could. And again, that's, yeah, you see how excited I am. It's, again, a perfect example on how to elevate the experience and make everything as true as it could. But mostly when I tell people about roller coasters, I think if you think about a roller coaster in your head now, you see a big slab of concrete, a lot of steel on top of it, and that's it. right? But look at this beauty. It's not a lot of steel and concrete. No, they actually built a whole mountain. And they didn't only build a mountain, as you can see. They also built a little chapel. It's really crazy. They actually built a whole story around a roller coaster. And the storytelling there is also top notch. It tells the story of an expedition. And the expedition is actually searching for a mythical creature called the Yeti, and it should live in the mountain. And it's up to you to discover if you can find it or walk into its tracks and know the true story about it. And that's not the only thing, because you have the roller coaster, but this is actually the queue, and the queue is actually a whole museum, a museum for the Yeti. And you can follow through while you're waiting, and you can actually, the whole story unfolds by seeing the different graphics, the different designs, all the little things. And yeah, you get it all really excited when you almost can go onto the train to discover it yourself. And who knows if you find the Yeti or not. But yeah, it's truly cool and amazing that you can have such cool experience just with an attraction which consists out of steel and concrete. But again, our friend the Magic Band, it gives you access to the parks, but next to it, it also has another cool feature. It takes use of Bluetooth technology to see where you are in the park. So again, backstage and front stage, it's a big win. Here, for example, it tracks if you are in the queue, and if you're in the queue, it shows you personalized content. As you can see on the left one, that's just a goodbye sign on an attraction called, I forgot which attraction it was, probably the Nerves. But it actually, when you're almost outside of the attraction, it shows you a poster with your name on it. And if you read Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's one of the top things by calling the customers you work with or calling the people you work with by name, because it really helps to establish a connection with them and to give them a lot more trust. And that's also a really neat trick that Disney does here. Also in the Yeti expeditions, in the Yeti museum, there is actually posters which show your name, and here it's Anthony. The climb with them was pure joy. And sometimes in the first time I wrote the ride, I hadn't actually seen it, that my name was up there. And after a while you see it, and it's all those little details. So yeah, that was it. And it gives you personalized content. It gives you your own name, and it makes the experience elevate again to the next level. But yeah, it also, except rides, Disney also has a zoo. It's a different park. It's called Disney Animal Kingdom. And again, they use technology to give the guests the best possible experience. I'm going to show you one example. What do you see here? Yeah, normally I would hear people say, I see a lion lying on a rock, sleeping. That's cool. That's right. But what I actually see is a rock with an internal heating system and a lion on top of it. Everyone knows the little cats. If it's warm, or if it's cold, they go in a little box, try to be there, snuggle there in, and then they're being there because it's warm, or they see the heating system and they go close to the heating system because they like to have it warm. With big cats, it's the same. So actually, Disney put a whole heating system in the rock. And why? Because if the rock is warm, the lions are actually tend to go on there and sleep there and chill there, which makes it a better chance for the guests to see the actual lions. So again, sometimes it's more than just technology and how they think about it, but to get the best experience, they're doing such things, which is really crazy. On Disney Plus, there is also a documentary now about the Animal Kingdom. And one of the things they showed there is that they built a whole tree with lights on top of it to show the elephants to the people when it's actually sunset, which is also crazy, but they also think about the welfare of the animals. And it also makes for them the better choice, because then they actually can also go there in night and see the animals better to help them if there are actually things are going wrong. So again, backstage, front stage, they really thought about it. Another perfect example, I think it's almost 7:30. I'm getting a little bit hungry, but what you look at here is the Nacho Grande challenge. The storytelling, they don't only do it with the attractions or the animals, they also do it with the food. And they give a little experience here. The menu, or what you see here on the screen, is actually, you cannot find it on a menu. You can also only order it at one particular restaurant at the whole resort. So you have to know about it. But if you walk to a cast member, and maybe for some people who don't know what cast members are, they are just the people in the parks who want to help you, who are actually working for Disney. And you whisper in his ear a certain password, the whole show actually starts. All the cast members come out of the kitchen, they have bells in their hands and they're actually singing songs, and they bring you from the entrance to a secret room where you actually can sit down with your family and you get such plate. I don't have a hand for scale, but you can actually eat with 5 people from the whole scale. It's so huge, but it's really cool because again, the storytelling, the experience you have makes you want to go there back again. A stress-free vacation, I already told you in the beginning, Disney's aim is actually to have you a stress-free vacation. You go to the parks, you have to don't think about anything. You can just ride rides, you can just enjoy your time there, you can just drink, eat chocolates, eat ice cream and enjoy. And that's also, again, a perfect example on how they actually want to elevate the experience, but also want to make sure that the guests who are going there are having a great experience. Everywhere in the park, you see people like this, and there's actually photopass people who are photographers, and they're just there waiting for you with a camera, and the only thing you have to do is hop in front of them, smile, and they're actually taking a picture. You take your best pose and snap. Here you see it. Those are examples of pictures they took from me. Really well photos, so I didn't have to think about giving my camera or making sure that at night my camera is okay so that the picture would be nice. No, I only had to hop in, to pose, and they snap you a picture. And the best thing after all, you have the magic band. You just have to tap the magic band against the camera and poof, all the pictures are delivered into your account in the app. And after your trip, you can just download them all in once and you don't have to think about it. As you can see here now, these are only no attraction photos. I showed my attraction photos in the beginning, but again, there you don't have to think about it. It just takes a picture, you come out of the attraction, and 2 minutes later you open your app and you see the attraction image from Splash Mountain where you're getting soaked. How they do it? It's with the technology again in your magic band. The product design is great because when you go out of the attraction, they can actually track you on which place you were sitting, and they just send you the photos into your app, and you don't have to think about anything. Next to that, the Magic Band was also great because you don't have to think about pictures, you don't have to think about your room key, you don't have to think about your tickets. No, it's all on the band. And the best thing of all, for me at least, you could always pay with it. So you go there, you order an ice cream, and poof, your drinks are paid, your food is paid, and you don't have to think about anything. Again, the backstage and front stage, because you spend a lot more when you don't have to think and take out your money, get money in the park. Everything goes so seamlessly, and it creates a win for the people, and it creates a win for Disney because they earn probably quite some more on it, which makes it, again, a really good example of a good user experience, good service design. I really felt like Superman at that point, imagine. So as you can see, the whole user experience, I already said it dozens of times, and I know it's my big love. And hopefully after today, I make you think it's really great, and maybe it's also going to be your love if you're getting more in depth with it, because you find a lot of information about it on the internet. But it takes the stress away from the end user and offers several opportunities to Disney. They can follow up on their guests. They can give upsells. They know what you buy. They have all the data. If they're going to open a new theme park or a new a new attraction, they actually know what rides people like the most. They know how many times someone is actually doing the attraction. It contains so much data. You can iterate on it. It's really cool on both sides. And here again, you see a perfect example. The last day when you enter your room, there is a personalized card with one of the official senior character artists from Disney, who is actually drawing you a little handmade drawing that you can take home. And when you're back going home, you're actually already thinking, okay, this experience was so amazing. I'm thinking about booking my next trip already. So that's actually the whole customer customer journey that someone goes through at Disney. And from there, my biggest love actually comes on how they think that innovation, technology, user experience, they melt it all together and they make a really awesome sauce of it on top of the big plate. To close my presentation a bit, I have some key takeaways. Like I already said, iterate and test, add new features over time. You could see it in the beginning of my presentation, where you actually see how they started with a normal app where you can just order your food, and then you could also order your attractions. And now they're actually already going to an all new app where they're going to give you all the information, and they're actually going to plan their whole trip by yourself. Also use real data to inform all decisions, enhancements, and improvements. Like I said, they really retrieve a lot of data, especially with the Magic Band and everything you do in the park. They can follow up on everything, and they also use the real data to inform their decisions. So that's also a really good takeaway you could take. Customers are always people who need your assistance. They are not there to interrupt your job, and they are the reason you have a job. That's also what they tell the cast members at Disney themselves. That's one of the baselines when you go working for them. If someone asks you, hello, when is it 3 o'clock parade? It's not a stupid question. You can just answer it with a friendly face and say, yeah, it's at 3 o'clock and you can find it here and here and here. So you can always answer, no matter who you are. It's always a normal question. And that's also something that we have to take into account when you're a UX designer or a service designer. Set the bar high. As you can see, they really set the bar high, and they refuse to compromise on integrity and brand, and they always want to exceed people's expectations. So that's also a thing that you always can do when you're working in UX or in service design, always trying to exceed people's expectations. And one day it comes back to you. If you look at the stock of Disney, it came back to them. The parts division is one of the biggest. They earn a lot of money on that. It's also with the motor of the whole Disney company. Now it's a bit less with COVID, but hopefully after a while it's going to be the better. But yeah, set the bar high. Be legendary. The legendary attention to detail, it's really important. Like I showed at the Moroccan pavilion, the details there are so cool. People talk about it, they go home and they talk more about it. If you can do that also in your app, and you can get all the little details in order, or you can get a really awesome platform with little details and little things, I think you always elevate your product to the next thing, and you always create a better experience. And never ever say, that's not my job. To take the example again of if you're a manager or you're a janitor, you always pick up the trash behind you. I think that's also really good advice that you can take away today. Even if you're a UX designer, you should always think about the developers that comes behind you. And I think the next talk is also going to talk to you more in depth about that and how it goes. But I think it's always everyone's job, and you always should take care of each other and make sure that it's always good for everyone. So I think that's the exit to this way. I want to thank you all. If you have any more questions, please let me know. And then it's time for QA, I think.
Wow, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. I used to live about an hour outside of Disneyland. And I can tell you, it sounds so corny to say, but it's an incredibly inspiring place for a designer. I've also been to Disney World as an adult, where they have Animal Kingdom and Epcot Center, and it made me want to become a designer, actually.
Exactly.
It's such a great topic. I can't believe how incredibly comprehensive they are in thinking about their service and creating this magical space. There were a bunch of questions. We don't have time to touch on everything, but there was a couple that I wanted to pull out. When I was living in California, there was this rumor that they used to pipe extra oxygen through the ventilation system in the Disney headquarters to make their employees like happier and more like, I don't know, free thinking or something like that. I don't know if that's true, but someone did want to know a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes. Do you know about anything about who these teams are? Are they UX designers? Are they trained as in user experience or service design? Or do you know what kind of research techniques they specifically use to create these experiences?
Like I said, they have almost 300 job titles. So you can actually go there if you're a project manager, you can do project management. If you're an architect, you can go there and be an architect. I don't know what uses they do. I normally had a part where I actually go a little bit deeper in the process on how they work. But you can also really find it on their website. So it's really easy. If you search for Walt Disney Imagineering and Google and the first website it opens, they tell you a little bit more of the process. So I think that's a good tip to look at. And if you really want to go in depth, if you have a Disney Plus service, you can also watch a really great documentary, which is called Walt Disney Imagineering, which shows you all the ins and outs and how it's actually started from the beginning to the last. And a funny anecdote is, like I said, it's two times Manhattan, Walt Disney World, but the Magic Kingdom, it actually has a whole basement underneath it. So it's not on ground level when you walk there. There is actually a whole other world beneath it where people and cast members can actually go from one side to the other. And that's also why you never see two princesses at the same time, because they always go underground. So I hope that answered a little bit of the question.
That's interesting. No, I had no idea that the princesses go underground. Speaking of princesses, no one asked it, but I know everybody wants to know, who's your favorite princess?
That's a good question. I actually don't have... yeah. I think I go for Belle.
Belle.
Because she's quite... Yeah, she's quite independent. She's quite independent. She ruins a bit at the end of the movie with the Stockholm syndrome, but in the beginning she reads. I think she's really cool. Yeah,
she stands up to Gaston. Strong woman. I'm a princess.
Yeah, exactly.
There was one other interesting question about dark patterns, because that's come up before, and I think that it's something that comes on our radar more and more as UX designers. Oftentimes when you have these things that make it really easy to use the theme park, it also makes it really easy to spend money and to lose track of the money that you're spending. Also, the pictures, like you're losing track of the pictures that you're taking and all of the data that they're collecting. Is it clear to the visitors how much data that they're gathering? How is that handled, the privacy issue?
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't thought about it when I was there. I also just wanted to test it. But yeah, to give an example, you can put a cap on the amount of money you spend every day. So they took care of that. But yeah, privacy-wise, I think it's a bit of a dark scheme in Disney. They don't tell you right away. It's actually a very good question. I should deep dive into it. But now I wanted to open my own platform again, and all my data was deleted. So it was already after 3 months, they delete all your pictures. So you get an email also that they are going to delete your data. So that's again a good thing then. They're not saving the pictures, so they're actually deleting it again, and they're not saving it.
Okay, that's good to know. All right. Well, if anyone has more questions, I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them. Find Craig in one of the sessions afterwards. I think that we'll even create a Q&A session for you, so that if people have if they want to talk to you about this, they can come find you there.
Okay.
So Craig in his session afterwards. We're going to take a 15-minute break and come back at 5 minutes past 8. And we'll go on to the next speaker, which will be Berit and oh my gosh, Vicky. Sorry.
All right. Thanks for having me, and goodbye.
Thanks so much for speaking, and we'll see you in the sessions afterwards or in the networking. And have a good break, everyone. We'll see you back in 15 minutes. Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.